retrospect, if we look at ART, I tried to summarize it in 3 steps. And I think that the 80s were very busy in IVF lab services. I think in the 2000s, the pharma industry was pushing very hard on creating IVF clinics all around. And we also saw some co-owned and turnkey clinics, very large clinics being set up. And right now, as of 2010, I think we're all wanting to reach those patients. And I think in the driving seat are the patients now. Are we confined? This is very simple. Are we just looking at patients that log on the web? Are they requesting services? And are we directing them to those services? This is a very classic way of looking at the web. Now, the next slide is a macro view of all the players. I'm a firm believer in this slide. These are the stakeholders. Let me discuss this. At the bottom, this is a classic or a typical ART unit. We have protocols, and we think we have the best protocols in our clinics. We have expertise, and we'd like to shine on our own expertise, and this is what we're promoting. We have databases. We have labs and scientists. But these people are not working alone. They're tied to some hospital information systems, and now there's big major players with those HIS systems. There are registries that are tapping that information, and then there are the patients. But on the right-hand side, there's a lot of third-party players in the game. Some of them are mega-size. And I think we're not dwarfs, but these are the mega players. There's financial institutions and insurers and the money behind it. There's the pharma industry that we were talking about. Imagery, we can talk about imagery we can talk about the ultrasound players, and we can also talk about the recent advances in the lab with all the imagery hype that is coming along. The carriers, maybe the phone carriers you never thought about. And products, any product that goes in the channel of ART. Referral labs, these are major players in the US, specifically talking about LabCorp and Quest. Specialty referral labs, they're not part of the clinic, but they're influencing a lot of the business. And there are processes and sites for large clinics that are doing multi-site or multinational cross-border business. And here are the people watching what we're doing, and they're certifying what a clinic does. And this list goes on and on and on. There's a lot of security concerns and meaningful use. You know what meaningful use was? It's a US thing, trying to promote the use of EMRs. And then the Obamacare, ISO certification, and CDC. On the other side, there's a lot of people watching what we're doing. There's HIPAA, and JCAHO, CLIA, CAP, FDA, and it goes on and on. So whatever you do, you're not alone. And if you think you're the expert, which might be the case, all these people are influencing your business. At the top, we have the patients. And the patients are shopping, they're filling out surveys, and they're checking the status of what's happening to them. And the patients are emotional, they're concerned, and there's repeat offenders. And the patients are not just females, they can be males, they can be surrogates, they can be donors, they can be a lot of things. And I think that the patients, especially the younger generation of patients, and these are the future patients that you're seeing 5 years or 7 years, they're glued to their phones. They are literally glued to their phones. Anywhere you go, everybody's texting, everybody's glued to their phone. So no matter how smart you are, they're still on their phone, even in the waiting room. Okay. We said to ourselves, well, let's try and make some sense of it. There are so many things that we can build apps for, and I'm going to talk about what's in the pipeline and what kind of vision do we have for the near future. But one quick one was about the contact information, because there's a mess of information at each and every clinic I've seen in 30 or 40 countries. And I think I've seen it all. And there's miscommunication day and night between the patients and the clinics, let alone the third-party providers, the big guys. And so we said, let's take 4 bricks and try and give them to their phones. We built a tool for the contacts, for anything that has to do with pre-cycle information, that has to do with the actual treatment plan and the meds. And then I'll tell you what goes beyond that. It's a simple app. It should work on Windows and Apple and Google. So technology-wise, there's a lot of complexities and diversification. Not everybody's on a Windows phone. And then we want to go to their calendar and try and make their lives a little bit easier. So the concept behind iMind was, we have a lot of sites, and what's unique is that they all share the same database. And so if you put a pile of dollars on the table and ask us to customize, we say no. Why do we say no? Because everybody's on the same tool. And once we have the same tool, everybody can reach out to the cloud securely and just look at what's happening to their own treatment. And so security is a primary concern. Technology alone without security doesn't work. And just HIPAA has HIPAA officers in each hospital in the US ensuring, because the fines of breaking the HIPAA laws are huge. And so HIPAA is just one of the players. Products and services. I think that there's a distinction between web portals and apps. And I had the talk right now with a colleague, and there's a common vision about web portals. Is it a one-way or is it a two-way exchange between you and the patients? Well, are we channeling business? Are we doing sales and marketing? Are we data mining? And are we assessing risks and QA? So all these are in the pipeline. These are the items that you would expect to see in the very near future. And on the app side, we're talking about clinical and business IT or IS. Third-party providers are pushing for a lot of apps to be out there for patients. And facilities and operations, just if you would think, if you go to Sydney IVF, now called Genea, they see about 360 cycling patients per day. Now, one of the issues there is parking. It's that simple. The other issue is waiting lists. How long do you wait? Do you know that if a patient waits longer than an hour, you're losing business, and that patient is not going to come back? And so this is logistics. Finance and accounting. With the insurance players, there's a lot of finance information that the patients and you as a provider are having to deal with. So you're not alone. The social patient, because social means they're talking to their friends and colleagues and they're comparing notes. And do you want them to compare notes positively or negatively? Do you want it in a controlled way? So it's very critical. Linking yourself to a think tank or people that know what they're talking about. And that's one of the main concerns in IVF. HR, you cannot neglect HR. There's a lot of demand, and it's global. It's not regional. And the last one, maybe should be the first one, legal. How legally protected are you? And do you provide the legal information and knowledge within your region. Just a few dollars and cents. I think with the Obamacare, there's an intense move in the healthcare business towards the key word there is care over time across settings. And then the other thing is rising consumer demand. So there are two horses pulling this. And this market is definitely growing, and we're talking about billions of dollars. And so I am seeing two very large players. One is called Epic, and the other one is called Cerner. And these two players, they really grab the bull by the horns, and they're following up on meaningful use and the Obamacare thing, and they're implementing very large systems, hospital information systems, across all specialties. But guess what? They've skipped IVF. Why they skipped IVF? Maybe it's not enough for them, for the size of them. One of our customers, Montefiore Hospital, spent $100 million on Epic. Okay? So that gives you the scope of what's ahead. And what percentage will ART occupy? That's something we cannot do alone. Nobody can do alone. I think we have to do it as a group. And if we don't do it, someone else is going to do it, but from outside the industry, definitely. The moment they see the numbers, they're going to move on it. So that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.